Welcome back to Haunted by Tapes with the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Haunted by Tapes with the Frog Bros Podcast. My name is Justin.
My name is Alec.
My name is Nick.
Tonight's feature film is the 2018 directorial debut of Ari Aster.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
This is directorial, but he wrote... No, actually, no, it's not. Where'd you get that from? He directed Hereditary before that.
Yeah, I thought that was first.
Sorry, that's what I was thinking. Sorry.
Yeah, Hereditary was directing and writing, and then he did Midsommar, and Disappointment Boulevard in 2023 is another one that's coming.
Yeah, I was going to say that's his next one. So pretty prolific filmmaker so far, right? And especially in the horror genre.
24 films, yeah.
So going to be pretty exciting to talk about this. But Midsommar, 2019 film.
I think I like this better than Hereditary, but I can't remember.
I haven't seen Hereditary, so don't spoil it for me, but everybody says, like, oh, I was just so scared. But I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be that scared. People said this was a really messed up movie, and I was like, I've seen worse than this. This is good, but like,
It's really weird. Like
well, for sure it's weirder
it makes you feel uncomfortable, uneasy. And...
exactly. It's good at that. Yeah. We'll get through
That's
it.
what this movie does. I was never legit scared in this movie. Is it unsettling? Yes. The first two times I saw this, I had some existential crises.
If you picture yourself there, I think that'll make you kind of scared. Like if you were actually there,
right?
I'd be scared out of my fucking mind once I started realizing.
Dude, religious cults and shit are fucking just. I love them because they're so fucked up and shit. And it reminds me of The Wicker Man. Have you seen that movie, Justin, or the remake?
I have not.
Bees.
The Nick Cage remake is amazing, and I have it on DVD, and it has an alternate version that has them dumping, like the main version, the theatrical doesn't have it, but he's wearing a mask, like a wicker mask.
That's not in the theatrical version?
It's in the alternate, like, longer, extended version. And he has a wicker mask on, then they dump bees into it.
What the fuck do they do in
Then they break his legs very violently. Like, they just fucking put him this way and, like, break on his kneecaps, and push him the opposite way. And they fucking load him into this big wicker man at the end that looks like Burning Man style festival shit.
A big Wookiee.
And they light it on fire.
Oh, okay.
His daughter is actually in the cult. And that's how they lured him there to be like, your daughter went missing. But then she's not actually missing, and it's a whole manipulative thing. Anyway, I'm reviewing that instead of this right now real quick, just because it's like... It's poignant and relevant. Yeah, it's like he goes to this island, and it's very similar, like... It's a cult that's mostly women in that movie. The men are like slaves to them almost, but it's not as good as Midsommar, obviously. But it has Nick Cage also, so it has that going for it. Obviously Florence Pugh's big fucking name these days, but
I think this is
get into it.
This really kind of started her as a headliner in the film, right? I mean, this is kind of one of her first big names. Obviously, anyone that's familiar with the MCU will know her now as basically, she made her debut in Black Widow as Natasha's sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's the new Black Widow, essentially. She's going to be probably in the Young Avengers or whatever, or the New Avengers or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she had her...
She's in the Hawkeye show as well.
Yeah.
So when you watch that, she pops up.
Her boyfriend in this kind of looks like store brand.
Well, that's not the only Marvel person in this movie either. We haven't seen him yet in Marvel, but the really ugly dude from We're the Millers, who is
not Carrot Top.
No,
he looks like.
But he's playing Adam Warlock in Guardians 3.
Yeah, I've seen recent pictures of him. He's all buff.
Will Poulter is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he looks kind of silly, but yeah.
I think, he has an interesting look, and he looked goofier as a kid, so the older he gets, the more, like, I wouldn't say handsome, but, like, he gets more, like, oh, he doesn't look as goofy now, at least, so.
He looks more proportionate to himself, I guess. He looks like he's grown into who he should look like.
Yeah, so,
yeah, but I know what you're going to say. Nick was going to say that Jack Rayner looks like poor man's...
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, Chris Pratt.
He's like the anime version with the big eyes. I kept thinking he looked like Chris Pratt. But.
Is he like also a farmer? So Danny is the main character, and her sister commits murder-suicide on their parents, basically, by filling the home with carbon monoxide and like taping masks on them and shit.
That's so unsettling too. I mean, because it starts off with this like dark winter scene, right? And then you see that she can't get a hold of her sister. Her sister sends some cryptic ass fucked up shit to her. And then we see the cars running in the garage, and then we see everything like taped, all this like tubing and stuff taped to the exhaust pipes. One's going under her parents' bedroom door, and it's all taped up to seal it in. And then she just fucking tapes to her own fucking face.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, terrible. It's brutal. Yeah. So it starts off immediately. Like, you're like, God damn, that's fucked up.
And you kind of see her turmoil with Christian.
Yeah.
While she's also trying to deal with this.
And all of his friends are like, man, you've been wanting to break up with her for a while. He's like, yeah, but I don't know if I might regret that later. I haven't decided.
You can't now.
Yeah.
And she learns that Christian and fellow students Mark and Josh have been invited by what's that guy's name? The Swedish dude?
Jovan or something. I don't know.
It says Pell, but I don't know if it's Pell or Pele. I want to say Pele just because it sounds funny.
I don't remember anything like I don't remember anything like Pell, maybe.
Pele? Peely?
We'll call him
P-E-L-L-E. I don't know.
We'll call him
Swedish
Peel?
guy. Peel? Yeah.
Sure.
To
Pele.
a celebration, a midsummer celebration, ancestral commune, the Harga, and rural housing glad. It's only every 90 years, and Josh is writing his thesis on European Midsummer Act festivities.
So there's a few things in here, and so I know this 90-year anniversary is supposed to be a big deal, but the Midsummer Festival they still do in some degree every year, based on a few things in there. They don't really explain it too well, and neither here nor there.
Clearly, well, yeah, to some degree. I think, I don't know.
Yeah, they must do something every year.
There's some degree of it that has to be the every 90 years thing. They just don't explain that, but it's just fine.
Yeah, because as the May Queen, like you see all these photos of the May Queen like every year, and so like, well, you can't do it every 90 years if you have photos. Photography hasn't been around that long to be doing this.
You'd have one other photo, maybe.
And
yeah,
I mean,
do 72-year-olds kill themselves every year?
Every year, yeah.
Every year during this Midsummer Festival as well.
Yeah, there's traditions there that you pick up on, right? And
which I swear I see people older than 72 in this community.
So here's the thing: neither of you guys have done psychedelics, right?
Negative.
That makes this movie all the more terrifying if you have done psychedelics at all. And if you've had any sort of bad trip, it makes this movie 100 times more terrifying to be imagining doing any of this stuff while tripping. Like, I could right now, sober on weed, watch somebody fall off a cliff and die like they do and be just like mildly disturbed because I'm desensitized, because I live in America. I would be like, yeah, I mean, whatever. And I would be a little traumatized for sure. But like if I was on mushrooms or acid, like these motherfuckers, and I saw that shit, that's it, brain. That's it. We're losing our shit now. It's over with. It's terrifying. There's only other people who have done psychedelics will understand the terror and fear that you could possibly, if you saw people committing suicide in front of you while you were in a midsummer festival, so you could be possibly having the best trip of your life, being out like in the fields and how beautiful it is there, and like with interesting foods and shit, and then
they take psychedelics as soon as they get there.
That's what I'm saying. As soon as they get there,
they don't even fucking put their bags.
They're introduced to Simon and Connie, and then they are doing the psychedelics, and she's just had a traumatic experience. That's not necessarily the time to take a psychedelic drug.
She didn't want to, and then everyone was disappointed.
Yeah, basically. So she's kind of peer pressured into just doing it right then and there. And that's pretty interesting.
Then they all sleep outside, I guess. And
Of course, she has a bad trip and hallucinates about her dead family.
Yeah, and they find her later on basically to sleep in the grass. She's like, how long I've been out? 6 hours. And then this is kind of when you start to realize, like, okay, you're not getting full sunset here, right? This is peak summer over there. So
yeah, it's
you're
like
getting a little bit of less light, but you're never getting a true darkness. Right.
it's like noon sun at all times. Seems like in the movie.
Well, that's the thing that makes this movie so unsettling is all this fucked up stuff that in most movies would take place in the dark. This is all happening because there's so much daylight and the music in the background, and it's so beautiful there, and all the colors of the flowers and everything is like so off-putting by how fucking dark this movie is with the shit going on in it. And then everyone's constantly tripping and all the shenanigans and shady ass shit going on in the background.
So that's when they do what they call the Ada Stupa ceremony, where 2 elders commit suicide by jumping from a cliff. And then the old dude survives the fall.
Yeah, because he wanted to go feet first.
Because he's a fucking idiot. I want to make this as fucked up as possible, he said. He saw the people tripping, watching. He was like, this is
jumping in the
fuck
water
for you.
Come on.
And then they fucking Shao Kahn kill his ass like a fatality.
3 ashes, even that only took 1.
Yeah.
Well, the first one looks gruesome as hell, right? The other 2 are less
Well, yeah,
impressive, but they don't need to be because you've already done the damage.
That's the thing. Imagining being tripping during this is so much different emotional response in your actual core and deep within you. Like, I can't imagine. Like, that's where the true terror in this movie comes from. If they weren't on shrooms, this movie would be, like, tame to me. Like, literally would be like, dude, I could handle this. I would have gotten out of there easily. But if I was on shrooms the whole time, no. I might have died right when they did this shit because I'd have freaked out too much, and they'd have just killed me on the spot or something.
You kind of start seeing, right? What's his name? So bad. He's like, what the fuck? And they're like, no, calm down. And she's like, really 100% dead serious when she says, no, this is a gift. You know, this is a gift. They do this for us because there's no suffering when you're old. You never go through any of that. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah, so every time they're 72, I guess, every year.
Well, who do they pick
for
president if they don't let people live past 72?
It's a commune, man.
I know.
You just make an American joke.
All of our presidents are 72.
Fucking old, I'll tell you that.
But yeah, that first woman, her face goes right into that rock, like right at the.
That is a beautiful shot, though. I got to tell you, man. Like,
yeah, I pause and rewind.
Yeah, it looks so good and so authentic.
Christian decides he's going to write his thesis on the communion also.
Specifically,
is like, what?
Yeah, really? So this guy's already up to some shady shit anyway. You kind of get the.
Well, he's just a prick all around, so.
Yeah, he's definitely the worst character.
What's the bear for? Remember that?
Yeah,
he's just a bear.
Really quick reference to that bear, and
he's just a bear,
and you don't see it again.
Well, you know, I'm going to see that bear later, but you don't know.
It's Chekhov's bear.
And well, yeah, exactly, 100%. It is Chekhov's bear, but it's not used in the way you think, which is what I like.
Like maul someone or feed.
Well, exactly. You think that you're going to get to see this bear get to eat somebody or something.
I didn't think that cage would have held a bear though. I don't know.
The bear seemed pretty content in there.
Yeah, if you really want.
They probably had him drugged too, though.
Yeah, he was probably tripping his ass off.
Probably. I mean, based on that, I mean, right? You look at it like the minute someone gets sober, the minute they really start to do things again, and they're all trying not to be assholes because Americans are assholes, especially by European standards. So,
and then Swedish dude is hitting on Danny when she tries to leave, and he convinces her to stay, and he claimed that he too was orphaned, and he's like, "I'm an orphan too. You should blow me, and then maybe
Yeah, when these people disappear, they have a good enough story to make you wonder if they really did just leave,
Right.
Yeah, it's
so they don't get super suspicious, but
obviously as the viewer, we're like, okay, everyone there is kind of stressed out, but they're also tripping a lot. So you're like, okay, so there's some plausibility there that okay, that might happen, whatever.
Christian is told that to avoid incest, outsiders are sometimes brought into the commune for mating purposes, and he's basically propositioned for it, and he refuses. Originally. And then Mark pisses on the sacred tree.
Where they dump everyone's ashes after the 72-year-old burning, right?
What's your disgusting dick?
And he
Yeah.
is lured away from the group by one of the female commune members and then never seen again.
Yeah, but she was eyeballing him the whole time, though, even before he peed on the tree.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks like they mate and then they kill him anyway if they need to, right? So there's no.
Well, at least he got some before.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That night, Josh sneaks out of bed to secretly photograph one of the commune's sacred texts.
Is it dark at this point?
Pretty much.
It's as dark as it gets. It's still pretty bright out, though. It's just the middle of the night, though, at that point where everyone should be resting.
Then he's bludgeoned over the head and dragged away when he's caught and distracted by a man wearing Mark's skinned face.
What? Yeah, it was the inbred disfigured or
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like the. They basically say that they're inbred to be part of the community, and that's how they do their sacred text, which is so.
Yeah,
fucking
the sacred
up.
people are all the fucking inbred
the
monsters.
oracles are. But yeah, he's wearing Mark's face.
Yeah, I didn't catch that the first time or two I saw it.
Do what?
I didn't catch that the first time or two I saw it. I wasn't paying that close of attention. And
Yeah.
this time I didn't get the feelings of dread. I hadn't seen it because I just knew what to expect.
Oh, you had
In
seen
your
this?
basement or attic.
You had seen this before?
Yeah, I'd seen it twice. Saw it in theaters and one other time at home. And
I watched it within the last year. I can't remember.
This is my first time, but I had just never seen it, and it's been on the list for a while. So,
Yeah.
The next day, Danny and Christian are separately coerced into taking hallucinogenic drinks.
mm-hmm.
Danny wins the maypole dancing competition, which is like the endurance competition, whoever dances the longest,
Mm-hmm.
and is crowned May Queen. And then Christian is drugged and participates in the sex ritual.
Breeding ritual. That was even creepy too, because this, and I love the.
I love that woman starts singing right next to his.
The more you watch this movie, the better it gets.
Another woman starts pushing his butt.
All the art that they show throughout the movie, all the sacred texts and art that they have on the walls throughout here, basically foreshadows the entire movie. Tells you step by step what they're gonna do.
Yeah, which you can tell when you see it. You're like, oh yeah, I see what's gonna happen here. Like, you don't. I didn't try to look too closely at him, but I was like, I bet this ties in.
Yeah, and when I was watching this time, I knew exactly what was happening, so I was paying closer attention to those details, and it really ties the story together.
Yeah. So then Danny comes back and obviously sees a little bit of the ritual and has a panic attack. Again, not something you want to see on drugs. Your significant other in ritualistic sex. Like, that's some fucked up shit to see on acid. That's some fucked up shit to see. But on acid or like these mushrooms and just whatever they're on, fuck that.
Baby, it didn't mean anything. It was just ritualistic sex.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
After the ritual, he tries to run. He discovers Mark's leg planted in a flower bed and Simon's body on display in a barn.
He's actually like suspension hung up, and his body looks so fucking terrifying in there.
Well, he's
Splayed
subjected
open.
to what's called let's look it up. It's tagged as blood eagle, a method of ritualistically executing a chosen member as detailed in the late skaldic poetry. Let's see.
It's also the name of a white nationalist group.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
No.
Either way, then there's a final ceremony. The commune leaders explain that the commune must offer 9 human sacrifices to purge it of its evil.
See, I think the 9 human sacrifices are the every 90 years.
Yeah,
I think
that
one
makes
a decade. I think that's the main piece. I think the rest of the festival goes on prior.
I doubt they murder people.
They don't have enough people because they self-sacrifice,
So
If
the
they
first
got
4
that many
victims are
people-
outsiders.
If they had that many people visiting and dying, they would eventually track it down, I think.
Yeah.
And the next 4 victims must be from the commune. And as May Queen, she must choose either a Christian or a commune member to be the final sacrificed victim.
There was a bear sacrifice, too.
Oh, yeah, there was. We forget about that because he gets shoved into this fucking bear.
He's like paralyzed.
He looks
can't do
like, it
anything.
just reminds me of Blake from Workaholics, wearing the bear hood.
Isn't that shown after basically we see her decide that it's him? Because they don't ever really show you that
I
they
think
decide that it's him. I think they kind of explain that, and then next thing you realize is
she
like
decides it's him, like she implies, like, and then they take him away in the wheelchair and go put him in the bear suit, I think.
yeah.
Then those other two guys are in there, and I think they're not gonna feel anything, whatever that shit they put in their tongue. But then they
Yeah,
start
he comes through
screaming.
there and blesses
Right.
them.
you think that you're like, maybe they won't feel it, and then they're just horrifically screaming.
Then the people outside start screaming.
It's set on fire, and they mimic the screams and wails of the people being burned alive. And holy
So let's
shit.
touch on that. That's another thing in this movie that's the whole mocking, and it's not necessarily like mocking in the fact that they're just copying what everyone's saying. So like that emotion, they're all like reliving as a group. So when they fall to their death, they're doing that.
Well, they moan
yelling
during the ritualistic sex too.
Oh,
Yeah,
exactly. That's the funniest part.
Like, so
Like
that's
that- but it's still
that's a
creepy. and
reoccurring
unsettling.
thing. Yeah, that keeps coming up throughout the movie though, and I think it makes it more unsettling. And then the music score itself is very unsettling for all the bright sunlight you have. Very well done.
Yeah. And Danny initially sobs. I'm reading directly from Wikipedia now. Danny initially sobs in horror and grief, but then she gradually begins to smile. Which is interesting. You're like, yeah. You would kind of be like, if you're on all these fucking drugs, you don't know what's going to happen, man.
Well, and I think they show that, yeah, she's so fucked up, she doesn't know what to do. And then you just realize that part of that, like she's grieving the loss of her family too, but she's also become important here. And she has a support system she didn't have before. When they explain the whole commune is the family, like, we don't have a family. We all take care of each other. All the villagers raise the children young. And you're like, well, that's because you kill all the fathers. But okay. Right. It seems like
That's how cults and religions work, though. They make you feel
Yeah.
like family and belonging, and you're important.
Yep.
But also, I get to have sex with your wife.
Yeah, and there's ritualistic sex.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, that seals the deal on the cult here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Midsommar. It's pretty solid. Obviously, it's not overrated for being one of the best movies from 2010 to 2020, like that era.
Yeah,
So
I don't think I've ever seen
No,
it.
I'm excited to see his next film. I mean, he's really doing some interesting stuff in the horror space. Now, I will say though, like in this movie, you're never terrified in the way that there's no jump scares or anything like that. There's some things that might be shocking on first viewing, especially if you're not big into horror. This movie doesn't necessarily play in the trailers like it's a horror movie, right? Which I think works to its favor.
Mm-hmm. That's why I wasn't sure beforehand if I was gonna like this. I was like, "What is this movie about?" Because I didn't want to like spoil it either.
Well, yeah, look at the box art,
It
right?
took
It doesn't
longer
really-
than normal for me to watch this.
Yeah, it's good though. It's good in that way that it's so unsettling, right? Like I said, when the first two times I watched it, I felt like having an existential crisis just because it's just
mm-hmm.
it upsets you like on an emotional level, not like, ooh, I'm scared or I'm feeling like I'm gonna die, but you're just like, man, that's just so
When they're trapped there, they have no cell phone signal, and
Yeah, that's what's Scream 2022 called elevated horror. That people they call it that, but I don't
but
mean.
it does a good job and it's unique. And I liked it because 90% of the time when we're watching horror movies, it's all shot in the dark. Like you see some daylight scenes to set up some exposition, but
Actually, a genre, basically daylight horror. It's a thing. David Lynch does a lot of it too. It's just
Yeah.
very unsettling to see things out in the daylight that are actually fucking terrifying, because you always feel safer in the daylight because of horror movies, mostly depictions, and I mean just the fact that more crime occurs at night and stuff like that too in general. But
yeah, under the cover of darkness, lots of bad shit happens. So
I
when you
feel
see
watching
bad
it
shit happen in daylight.
Seeing Batman run around in the daylight. Come on,
right,
it's weird.
that's why the animated series being animated on black paper is so fucking dope.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Midsommar. Let us know what you think. And also, sign up to our Patreon at patreon.com/FrogBrosPodcast for commentaries and other behind the scenes and in the future, we're going to do some sort of other bonus content, but we'll figure that out later. But go sign up. It's only $3. And then also go, rank our podcast wherever you're listening to it. If there's a rating thing, rate us. And be honest. We deserve 5 stars, so.
Yeah, go rate us.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you soon.
Is there any reason that you wouldn't give me 5 stars today? That's one of the things corporations make you say. Anyway, good night.
Later.